YouTube. New Age Economist coming at you. And today we're going to talk about people and relationships. And I know that this is a personal finance channel, but you'd be surprised how much the relationships you have with the people around you affect your ability to succeed in life. Like I said in some of the previous videos, it's so let me adjust here. It's about fish tanks. Like I said, a lot. Growing a fish tank, having to reduce it is a lot tougher on you than it is to just never grow your fish tank in the first place. But people and their expectations of you have a massive role to play in that as well. People throw on you all sorts of expectations, and sometimes they don't even consciously realize they're doing it. These can be long friends, family. Um, in all honesty, it's mainly family because the friends, they'll just drift apart from you when, the time comes for them to drift away. But family is a tough one. And even still, friends that you've had for a very long time that you have just sort of built a, mutual relationship with, definitely it can go into the same category because in all honesty, people have expectations that they put on you. And realistically, none of it actually has to do with you and what you're doing in life. It has to do with what they feel about what you're doing. See, the reason why people will throw these expectations on you and project these expectations on you, and when I say expectations for this video, I'm relating it to personal finance and your journey to, reduce your expenses and your lifestyle and not really give a crap about what anyone else has to say. Maybe it's parents who expect you to be a certain point in your life, or friends who you have supported and they've just sort of taken it for granted. But ultimately, is my mic on? Perfect. What it comes down to is not that they are trying consciously to hold you back. It's that to listen, to not necessarily listen, to watch you go about your life in an independent way and go on your own path really without really paying attention to why they're projecting onto you the way that they are, is because ultimately, to give you a simple example, if you were to cut your expenses, lower your quality of life, in an attempt to reduce your expenses and maintain an income, get that difference in there and begin to, start to build passive income for yourself. Ultimately, it can relate to many different facets of your life. So this is, going against the grain here. This is going to be more of a life experience and life lesson video more than anything. People will attempt to stop you from doing what you feel is right purely because if they were to look at your life and accept that what you're doing is the right course of action, it would cause them to realize that what they're doing in their life is the wrong course of action. And it's not necessarily wrong, it's different for everybody, right? But ultimately, as you pursue the things in your life that you feel as though are a priority, that you feel as though have to be pursued, other people will try and throw stops in your path purely because they don't want to look at themselves and realize that what they've done their entire life was not the right move. And you'd be surprised how childish people get very quickly when it comes to what they feel as though is protecting themselves in the way that they've done everything, even though realistically, all it is just you going about it in a different way. And they will just resist. It's funny enough, they will resist you going on your journey and your path because they feel as though if they were to accept you doing that, then they would have to confront something in themselves that they don't necessarily want to confront. The easiest example of this is, I can give you many, but I have had friends every single time that I've tried to tell them about an investment that I'm making, they sort of laugh at me until it begins to pay out, and then they want to know about it instantly, right? Because very obviously there are results behind it. Or a family relationship where you can't be honest and communicate the way that you truly feel because they'll just take it as an attack because that's not the way that they're conducting themselves. And it's important because the more and more that you step into what you want to do for your best good and highest good, ultimately people will throw resistance at you. Not consciously, not because that they don't appreciate or love you. It's because that they are scared to confront that aspect of themselves. You know, me making this video is a result of me going through these steps with basically all of my friends and every single member of my family. And it has been ridiculous how much I have had to fight these people who I considered my closest friends and family simply because they would rather fight me and what I'm doing in my life than confront what they're doing in their own life. And realistically, people will behave like 6-year-olds before they take any sort of criticism that's not happy. Especially your family, and especially people who are older than you and feel as though they have some sort of authority over you. And it's tough. It's tough because it's not just about saving money and investing it. It's about changing your lifestyle and changing your thought process. And people around you will resist you doing that the moment that you try to because it's different. That's purely what it is. It comes down to, the way that you conduct yourself. Those people will take it as a criticism for the way that they live their life. And that's not the way that you mean it. You're just trying to do things in a way that results in the best outcome for you. But ultimately, if you have a relationship with somebody where they feel as though they can critique you, but the moment that you try to critique them in the same way, you're thrown with walls and temper tantrums, ultimately, that's not a real relationship. It's not. And the deeper that I go on my personal finance journey and the deeper that I go into my journey in life in general, the more resistance I'm being thrown up from people that I would have never expected there to be resistance from. It's because I thought that these people supported me. But realistically, all they support is the way that they conduct themselves. And because I conducted myself the way that they conducted themselves, we had a good relationship. But the moment that I try to change the way that I conduct myself, all of a sudden these people have a huge problem with it. And it's because those people, in particular, when you try to change, that have a problem with it, it's not a problem with you, it's a problem with them. It's because you're forcing them to confront something in themselves that they don't want to look at. And the relationship that they had with you, where you agreed, was essentially exactly that. Since you agreed with the way that they conducted themselves, they had no reason to confront themselves about the way that they conduct themselves. And now that you're changing and growing and trying to do better in your life, they will throw shade. They will throw, micro-controlling behavior. They will constantly reaffirm how they disagree or that you should rethink what you're doing or have you thought about this? It's like, yeah, I have thought about this, but ultimately it's not what I want. And it's not until you get over the fact that you might piss these people off by doing what you feel is right that you start to truly understand what you're made of and what you're capable of. And society in general just sort of goes along with what the other person agrees with. And it's not because it's right or because it's better. It's because society at large doesn't want to take a look at itself and confront itself and ask itself a question that, hey, maybe we're not doing things the way that they should be done. And there's many different kinds of ways that this relationships take root, but one that I've had to cut off very recently is one of toxic positivity. And it's probably one of the hardest ones to confront because on the surface, these people will say they love you and they care about you, but they only love and care about you when you show positivity to them. The moment that you take that positivity away or try and confront something in them that is not necessarily an aspect of themselves that is positive, they will lash out. And you'd be surprised how some of the most well put together people will lash out like children the moment that you confront themselves on something that's not sweet or nice. And it's tough. It's really tough. In particular, I've had to end a relationship with somebody who loved me a lot, but their version of love was a tit for tat kind of love. And they only showed you love when you showed them positivity. But the moment that you tried to communicate something to them that was bothering you, that would cause them to confront something in themselves that they were maybe not necessarily doing correctly, you'd be so surprised how quickly those people will drop you at the tip of a hat. And in this particular case, the person didn't necessarily drop me. I had to drop them, because any single time that I tried to give them any sort of critique that they would throw in my face constantly, it's like, take it, you can't give it. Anything, I'd give them the slightest bit of critique, they would throw essentially an adult temper tantrum. They would, resort to how much they cared about me, and they would constantly tell me about that and say, I don't think that you're conducting yourself in a way that I like, but ultimately all you're really trying to do is show them something about themselves that is not good. If somebody only ever wants to embrace positivity with you, and they never want to actually care about how you feel, the darker aspects or the aspects of yourself that you're fed up with or sick of, if they don't ever want to talk to you about those things, then that person never really cared about you in the first place. You only existed in their life to reaffirm themselves. And that is something that I've had to learn recently. And it's through the last couple months that I've gotten rid of people out of my life who, will throw resistance in my path the moment that they don't really like what I'm doing, mainly because it forces themselves to confront what they're doing. But the worst kind of person is the person who won't drop you because you're forcing them to confront something in themselves that they don't like. It's the person who will use emotional manipulation to avoid ever having to look at that in the first place. And that's just it. The people who will throw criticism at you day in, day out, but the moment you throw it at them, will just get defensive, take it as an attack, and absolutely refuse to talk to you about why you're feeling the way that you feel, ultimately are not people you want in your life at all, period. Those are the people who are going to get in your way. And I know this is a personal finance channel, but I promise you, the moment that you go on this journey and you tell your friends and family about what you're doing, and you get the responses that you get from them, you will understand fully and wholeheartedly why this isn't just a journey of personal finance. This is a journey of surrounding yourself with people who are going to support you. There's a quote from a song that I really like, and it's, let me try and remember the full thing. Actually, I'm going to look it up so I don't butcher it here. Bear with me, YouTube, real quick. Sorry, give me a second here. The ones who matter in your life aren't the biggest or the baddest, but the ones who stop you falling from your ladder. Sometimes you just have to feel the way that you feel about these people and just move on. And in the moment it's going to suck, but on the other side, the calm and the peace that you get from not having to deal with the bullshit anymore, no money can buy. And I tell you that honestly and wholeheartedly. Take care, YouTube.